yellow again. I'm back at Moclips on the beach. I did one painting already today here beside the Moclips River. Beautiful area. This is a little river walk behind the high tide motel. I didn't stay there, but you can get to the river in this pretty little area. Lots of potential paintings here. This is the scene I'm really drawn to. I really love the blue of the water, the white of those old piles. Must have been some kind of dock structure there at some point. Just gorgeous. I love how the sun is picking out those old piles and also darkening the foreground. So I'm going to set up right here and do a quick 9x12. The sun's going to move across this scene pretty quick. I'd like to catch the sun on some of those old rotting piles, maybe get some of them in shadow as well. I might include this beautiful old tree here as well. Definitely the path of the water through the scene. So I'll get set up and decide on the composition. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Here's the scene I like. Here's what I want to paint. I'm going to crop the view, zoom in, something like this, and the light is already changing quite a bit. The shadow's moving really fast across the scene. So I want to zoom in something like this. I want to get a little bit of sun on the beach and shadow across the beach. I want to get some of those piles, those old posts in the sun and some in the shade. I want to get that yellow, bright yellow grass against the vibrant blue water. So I'll start with a turpentine wash. I'm going to skip the sketch. I don't think I need to sketch this scene. I'll wash in a little bit of cerulean blue for the background sky, a little bit of cad yellow for the background hill of trees, yellow ochre for the sand and grass in the sun, and alizarin crimson for the path of the river. For the foreground, where the sand is in shadow, I think I'll use transparent oxide brown, and then for the foreground sand where it's in sun, the little bank where it's in sun, I'll use more of the yellow ochre. That'll give me enough of a map that I can then follow. I want to go ahead and do that quickly so I catch some of these beautiful shadows. It's funny looking at the screen on my camera. It's a pretty good camera, but wow, it's just not capturing the color I'm seeing in this scene. The grasses in the sand, in the sun, so beautiful. Hard to express the colors I'm seeing, but I'm going to try to catch them in my painting. Once I get the wash in, then I'll go back with a small brush with some turpentine and just wipe off some areas where the highlights are, like these posts, these piles. Just do a few, probably not as many as I'm seeing. That'd be overkill, I think, but I do want a nice little path receding into the distance, and some of those patches of grass where the sun's hitting them, and some of the trunks of the trees on the far ridge. Alright, doing a little 9x12 birch panel. This is a panel that I gessoed myself with 3 coats of acrylic gesso and 1 coat of alkyd. That top coat, that final thin coat of alkyd, Gives it an almost oil-primed feel when you're painting on it. You can move the paint around quite a bit, which is what's so nice about an oil-primed surface, is in that initial wash when you're doing the underpainting, you can move the paint around quite a bit. It doesn't stain that oil-primed surface quite as fast. You can clean it right back to the white of the panel. Alright, there's the turpentine wash in, and I took a little brush and wiped away the lightest lights. I'm going to start to mix up the colors. The sky is a cerulean blue with just a hint of burnt sienna toward the horizon. Very high key, very light value. The trees are a grayed out, but still warm green, so an orange green. The shadows are pretty neutral, not a whole lot of color in the shadows, maybe a hint of brown. And then where the sun is hitting most of the trees, it's a warm yellow, so sap green and cad yellow. And then the panel has the color of the sand and the color of the piles pretty closely, so I'm just going to map in some of those colors and I'll leave the panel blank in some places. So I'll start with the sky and the background trees and work my way down the panel and work my way forward. Alright, I've got a little bit of color mixed up. I'm going to use a nice big long flat, an evergreen, which is a synthetic, but it's almost as stiff as a bristle. But it has a really beautiful flatness to it, really nice edge. Got some colors mixed up here. Here's the sky color I have left. I just kept it and set it off to the side. I've got some shades for the shadow on that background hill, and as it moves closer to me it's getting a little warmer and maybe a little touch darker. Here's the shadow in the trees on the far hill and the highlight in the trees on the far hill. Really grayed down, low chroma. This is just a little bluer, lighter value here as the sand gets a little closer in the shadow. It has a nice lavender blue cast. Here's some blues for the water. Really beautiful cobalt blue, ultramarine blue with a touch of alizarin crimson. Darkest value all the way to a lightest value. Probably 1, 2, 3 values there. There's some green grass on those grassy banks in the sun, so I've got a little touch of green there mixed from my sky blue and my sand in the sun color. I've got a warm sand in the sun color here. It's this yellow ochre, radiant lemon, and then here I've added just a touch of burnt sienna. And then this is just this same mix but lightened up with more titanium white. So this is titanium white, yellow ochre, and radiant lemon. I'm going to map these in quickly. Light's changing fast, so I need to move quickly now before I lose it. For these background trees, I'm going to use this rosemary series 279. This is a natural hair, really nice brush for doing trees. It's a number 4, so pretty big for the size of the panel, 9x12 panel. Dipping into the sand color here in the sun, where I see some warm yellows in the trees. That's a nice way to give your paintings some harmony. Use those notes everywhere in the painting. So here on this set of trees I see a warmer note, so I'm going to dip into this warmer sand. And I'll blend it in here on my palette until I get a nice hue that I like, and then I can just touch it gently. Needs to be a little brighter. The background trees, I'm using this soft brush, as big a brush as I can handle for the job. I'm trying to keep all the edges very soft. I want the transitions between the values and the colors to be very gentle. I step back often to make sure that nothing is jumping out as a harsh or hard edge. I use my palette knife and get just a little bit of high value paint and add the tree trunks that are being highlighted by the sunlight. Even here I'm trying to keep the edges soft and the value transitions very gentle. And I'm only highlighting a few of the tree trunks. As I start to paint the water, I'm thinking about the water as a flat plane, so all my brush strokes are horizontal and flat to bring out that plane of the water. Occasionally I drag a stroke vertically to indicate a reflection. I'm also careful to keep the lightest lights that I wiped out during the initial turpentine wash. Those are standing out nicely against the vibrant blue of the water. I try to keep all my edges soft, even in the foreground, here where the sand meets the water, or the shadow on the sand meets the sun on the sand. If I keep those edges soft, I can harden them up later, especially around the center of interest. Well, you can see the lights really changed. It's always a challenge to try to capture the light as it fades in the evening. But I think I captured some accurate color notes that I can refer to in the studio to finish it. The light's so different now that I don't want to continue to try to chase it. The reflection of the sky and the water is a completely different color than when the sun was on the water. So I like the composition, I like the color combination. I'll take it back to the studio and finish it up. As always, thanks so much for watching. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel or to purchase some of my artwork, please visit my website. You can find these plein air paintings under the recent plein air tab. I sell them at a pretty reasonable rate because I consider them practice, and I absolutely love it when people buy my artwork. You can also sign up for my newsletter and get a discount on original art and on prints.